Good morning, guys. Mike and Ryan, I think you're the only two here at the moment. How's everybody doing this morning? It is cold here in Tennessee. 16 degrees outside. It's March. Old man Winter decided to kick us in the rear one more time. The crazy thing is it'll be 70 by Saturday. So, as the title says, I've been getting a lot of people asking me, "Where's the tank? Where's the tank?" You know, because you got this done and you've shown this off. Where's the rest of it? Well, the rest of it is got some more work that has to be done before I can even start printing it. So, oh, it's negative 11 there. Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. That's why I moved south, man. Morning, Roy. So, yeah, I've had a lot of people asking me where the tank is. And so I thought today we'd open up the tank in Blender and start working on it. Hopefully the computer will cooperate with me this morning. We are 3 weeks away from new computer. So it's getting here. What are you doing? Silly dog. Oh, you're cold. You must have just went outside. So anyway, yeah. We're going to work on the tank today. Let me move the chat over here. Wait, first I need to go to screen share. Screen share. Chat over here. Sat down. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late this morning. I sat down at the computer and got everything opened up and went to check on Discord and had a message from Scalda that I had not uploaded a piece in the four-door Jeep on Thingiverse. And so I had to find that real quick and get that uploaded and fixed. So let's open up Blender. Here we go. Morning, Minnesota Maker. It is tank time today. That one. So yeah, I haven't touched the tank in a while, and that's been there's been a few reasons for it, not the least of which has been the recent computer issues. Saw on the news this morning that Kylie Jenner is the youngest billionaire now. I'm like, Kylie Jenner can be a billionaire. I can't even be a thousandaire. There's something wrong. All right. So, yeah, things that still need to be done. I'm not sure I'm going to keep this thing at all. $1,000 air. Yeah, I think I can do that. 1,000 cents, maybe. I might even be able to do 2,000 cents. What? What is that all about? I know. He's grumbling this morning. Alright, so let's see. Things that still need to be done. I need to cut this into multiple pieces because otherwise you won't be able to print it unless you have a CR10 S4, S5, Anycubic Chiron, Gmax, something like that. Joey wants to say hi. Okay. Good dog. All right. So just move this down for right now. Such a simplistic part, but I'm about to have to make it more complicated. What is that? Why is there... You guys are seeing this, right? There's like a random vertex just floating out in midair. And hitting delete on that vertex didn't change anything. Okay, well, let's do this. Why is there a random vertex floating out in midair on both sides of the tank? Let's delete those. I may never have seen that had I not pulled it down. That was weird. It's got some other weirdness going on because of the Boolean operator I used to cut the holes out. See if we can fix those too. Yeah, it did it on all of them. What I'm doing here is hitting K to bring up the knife tool and cutting between those two vertices. And what that does is that creates an edge between those two, which is oddly missing. Sometimes Boolean operators in Blender do funny things. Case in point. Fix that side. And chances are this wouldn't cause any sort of problem as far as 3D printing is concerned, but it may cause me problems from a modeling standpoint. I don't know why the Boolean operator didn't make a line there like it should have. And again, something else I may not have seen had I not drug the part down and isolated it like I just did this morning. Yeah, I need to make a smaller tank that fits on smaller printers as well. And that'll happen. I need to get this tank done first. Because just like the VSV, when I got the VSV done, it opened up all sorts of things to make other iterations based on its design. The tank will do the same thing when I get it done. Morning, D. When I get this tank done, it'll open up the chance to make other iterations of it as well. All right. So, I think the best way to go about this is going to be simply highlight this half, duplicate it, hit enter to leave it in place, hit P to separate it by selection, and then we're going to go back and grab everything but those center vertices and delete them. All right. And this change the name of it to UC back. And change the name of this one to UC front. Now, because I have a large format printer, I may still print mine as one piece. You're very needy this morning. This is not the time to be needy, dog. All right. What I'm doing now is just selecting edges opposite each other and hitting the F key to make a face. Because it needs to be manifold. Alright, that makes that part manifold. I'll hide it and bring this one back. I'm trying to continue to pay attention to chat while I'm doing this. If there's a little delay, I apologize. But I would never intentionally ignore you guys. Ah, good point. I can't wait till they restore that functionality the way it should be. Nope. There. Text editor. Open. Open text. Run script. Back to the 3D view. Can't wait till they bring screencast keys back as a default function of Blender. And maybe they have in 2.8, but I can't use 2.8 yet. All right. So we split it in half. Now I need to put in some registration marks or something to help people line them up and glue them together. Ah, thanks, Ed. And good morning. And good morning, Mike. Never let the machines win. I didn't let the tornado win. I eventually beat it. The only one that's winning right now is the Ender 2. You're a very needy puppy this morning. Take my hand off of you, you cry. You're making a spectacle of yourself. Alright, so let's see here. How are we going to go about this? Let's do a ring cut. Why is the ring cut not working? Oh, I know why the ring cut's not working. Remember when I said that sometimes Boolean operators mess things up? This is one of those cases. Boolean operator has messed this up. It's going to be the easiest way to fix this. Yeah, I need to get him like a doggy bed that like some steps up to it and stuff that he can lay in the background and he can be on the stream too. But it has to be in my arm's reach so I can pet him. Okay. Let's go about this way. Let's ring cut the bottom. Nope. Because that's going to mess up into there. Have to ring cut it at the top. We'll go about here. Yeah. And then we'll go straight on side view. I need a straight on side view from the other side though, because I should have. Actually, let's cut the other side, since it wants to be over here anyway. Let's ring cut to about there. Let's go on the straight on side view, vertices. And then we're going to do this. We're going to cheat a little. Fix this later with the mirror modifier and put it back. This way I'm only making these adjustments to one side. This is not a good way to do this. Would have been better to have had this already prepared before I did the what? You have food, you have water, you have your back door. What more could you possibly want? Alright, now let's use a mirror modifier. Clipping. Hey, good morning, Al. Extrude that out a little bit. Extrude that out a little bit. Now, what I was thinking is just putting a tab sticking out here and here, which will make it the same on that side. And that would allow you, when you put the pieces together, to have something to glue, and it would help line them up. I think that would be good enough. And maybe I should, when I go to print this, print the multi-piece version, just so I can test that. Morning, Tom. Extrude out. Joseph. And we'll scale it down a little bit. Actually, scale it down more so it... Move it back. Yeah, that looks good. And we'll scale this one along the X. Slide it back a little bit too. That way those tabs should help when lining the two pieces up. And maybe I should yeah, I will. Modifier to that. Clipping. Thanks for stopping by, man. Ring cut this one here. Oh wait, nope, don't want to do that. It's jacking up the... Hmm. Just do them one at a time. All right, having those tabs on both sides to help line things up and give you some extra surface area for glue. Because the other thing that's going to help the rigidity of it is once this is glued onto it as well. So it should be plenty strong. Because after all, that portion is literally pretty much just to hold these upright. These will offer it all the structural rigidity necessary in this direction. Also, if I decide to go back later and make like that front ram and things like that can be added on, it'll only require reprinting the front half of it, not reprinting the whole thing. And it's kept the outer shell of the tank smooth, which is what I wanted. And now that we've done that, hit save. Got to do that pretty often. Since my computer could die at any minute. Alright, so I think I'm ready to print the undercarriage. So I may slice that and get that started today, because it's not going to be a short print, even doing, you know, in halves. Because I sliced it and just to see how long it was going to take, and I had 22 hours on the full bottom, which I don't like the sound of a 22-hour print, because I don't like to leave printers running and not keep an eye on them. And I'm like, when am I ever going to have time to do that? So, Jake from State Farm. Good morning, sir. Other bodies of the tank. Going with this one because it looks the most like it would be a G.I. Joe vehicle. Okay, I will put them up on the Patreon files. All the stuff necessary for this has been on Patreon files for a while, so you could actually have that much of the tank done. That, and if the bottom undercarriage works out, you'd have a rolling undercarriage. That's checking off one box. So we still got. We have to section this piece off here. The upper body is going to have to be sectioned off so it can be printed as well as in multi pieces. I still haven't made its way to more solidly interface with the undercarriage, so I got to do that. These aren't connected yet, and I don't know if I'm going to. Or maybe I'll make both versions, or maybe I'll make them so that they're plug-in. You'll make mounting holes, and then they're optional pieces that way. Right now they're just sitting there. I've still got to articulate the up and down movement of the gun. I've got to do the rotational interface for the turret. Thank you, Tom. So do you like the missile launchers or no missile launchers? Missile launchers? No missile launchers. And launchers for sure. Yeah, this thing is armed to the teeth with two Gatling guns, the main gun, and two 4-pack missile launchers. And of course the turret rotates, so it'll have 8 missiles and a main gun that it can fire 360 degrees. The Gatling guns will be strictly straightforward. Morning, Vince. And then I'm going to make these, they're not done yet either, where that's an optional piece. Whether you choose to put the armor plate over the treads or no armor plate. So again, I everything that I do, all my vehicle designs, I try to make parts of them modular so that you have options. You know, do you want, you know, the armor plating on the side? Do you not? You know, do you want to show off all the treads, or do you want to hide the treads behind armor plate? Do you want missile launchers or no? I'm going to make multiple turrets before that's all said and done, including one that is just a big rack of missiles. Is already planned. Well, that's why the turret rotates 360 degrees. Someone coming up behind you, you just turn the turret around. Then some other accessories, like instead of the missile launcher, put grenade launchers, the ones that shoot the grenades. You know, you've seen them where they look like, it looks like fingers sticking off the side of the turrets. Maybe put some mounting holes for some other stuff like that on it as well. I still have to design and cut in a hatch for the top of the turret, and the interior for the turret, and the interior for the tank. So I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. But at this point, what would be printable is a rolling chassis, the undercarriage and the tread assembly. Which, this thing was an engineering nightmare. But, so, getting through this, I don't think any of the other things that I have left to do is going to be that big a deal, since it's like, if I can accomplish this, I can accomplish those things, no problem. It's just going to take time and a matter of sitting down and doing it, and the computer cooperating and not shutting off on me, which, knock on wood, we've made it 40 minutes into the stream and it hasn't died yet. We haven't had to make this a multi-part stream. So yeah, then I'll also design planning on designing some alternate armor sets so that'll look different on the sides. I want to put some spare tread mounts on top of the armor plates, so you can print additional tread and put some spare tread on there, like you see on some tanks. But we've got the undercarriage done. Let's go ahead and save again. Export STL. Desktop. Tank. That's the undercarriage as a single piece. We're going to go, you see front. Selection only. 1000 scale. Export. File. Export STL. You see back. Make sure selection only is still on. It is. Export. Yeah, so far so good. We're 3 weeks away from not having to worry about it anymore. Three weeks from today, we will be streaming on the new computer. Less than 3 weeks from today before I get the new computer, but the first stream scheduled after I get the new computer will be 3 weeks from today. I should get the computer the Saturday before, and that'll give me Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to get everything set up, get OBS set up, and Blender and all that installed. You're a pain in the butt today. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put those two pieces up for patrons. Tank undercarriage. 2-part beta. Upload. Upload. There you go. If you're still there, Roy. The tank undercarriage is up on the Patreon files on Discord. Is that enough attention? Can I put you down now? Oh. Oh. You're a very needy dog today. You're just being needy because Daddy's doing something. You're not normally a lapdog. Despite Bichon Frise literally translating into curly lapdog. Would you lay on your pillow? You got a pillow down there. Lay on your pillow. All right. And then, of course, I know these Gatling guns are going to work fine because they're the same ones from the Scorpion. Same thing with the canopy and the canopy hinge. Because this is just the body from the Scorpion that's been melded into the body of this. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I bet you're not. So let's tackle that right now. Slide it out by itself where we can see it. Yeah, I didn't think about the fact that it's huge. And let's section it off. Into multiple pieces and design it to be plugged in. Alright, here's one way we can handle this. Going to grab tab out of that, create plane, scale the plane down, doesn't need to be that big. And we're gonna rotate it 90 degrees. Where to cut it? Cut it on this side. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Save before we do this, and I'm going to make a duplicate copy of that and hide it so we can keep a one-piece version. Grab that and grab that, and we will go to Tools, and we will slice. Slide that back. Okay, I did close it up. And flip the normals there. Yes, the wrong one's facing out. And so let's see, this is the shorter one over here, so let's grab this one. Inset the faces. Scale along the Z. Scale along the Z. Those two, let's extrude them out. So let's move that on the y-axis. Plug those in together. You are a mess. Quit. Let's save before we do this. And we're going to duplicate this one. Grab it. Grab this one. Apply the Boolean modifier first. All right. So now if I slide this back, Joey, you're driving me nuts. Scale that down just a hair. Because we want them to have a little clearance to fit. Into their new home. All right, so we're going to take this one. We're going to file, export STL, and we're going to say axle. Wait, it didn't go in the body section. It goes in the tread part section. Axle front. Export STL axle rear, and then to Discord. Axle front and rear. 2-part axle. Beta. Upload. All right, the axles have been broken into 2 parts. Of course, you know, between left and right, at this point, Roy, to just mirror it. You're going to print the left non-mirrored, and if you mirror it, you'll print the right. All this stuff will be made more apparent when the final version is done. But that'll give you that to work with, and I would think where I sliced it, it should fit. So you'll have to print the axle front, the axle rear, the axle tensioner, then the little threaded rod that goes in here, and the nut. And that's what pushes the tensioner out and applies tension to the treads. Hey John, we're working on the tank this morning. And so far, we've cut stuff apart so people with printers that aren't CR10 S4s and larger can print them. The way Roy goes on these things, he'll end up beating me to the punch. He'll have his undercarriage and stuff going before I end up having mine done. Estimated time is 22 hours on just the front half. Wow. See, I was getting 22 hours on the whole thing. So I think that seems a bit high. Of course, my print settings are probably different than yours too. You get a lot nicer print quality than I do. Yeah, unfortunately, it won't be a functional tank, Jake, so it's not going to actually blow anything up. I guess, you know, unless you put an M80 in it or something. And I'm not recommending anybody put an M80 in something and blow it up. Just to be clear. As a toy collector, I wish I could have the toys that so many kids blew up with firecrackers. It's like, instead of blowing up with firecrackers, just give them to me. Give them to me. I'll take good care of it. I'll even restore it if it's damaged and missing pieces. And if it's too far gone, I'll make a custom out of it. All right, so now, in theory, patrons should be able to print a rolling chassis. Just waiting for the upper body and the turret. Oh, that could be. Yeah. It's just a matter of adding uh, size. So I mean, you'd have to. So that makes sense. And actually, the two-part one is going to probably have more moves because of the alignment tabs and stuff. Michael Cassell, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I had a friend that took firecrackers to a GI Joe Defiant, and it makes me sick to think about it. Because now to get a GI Joe Defiant in any state of decent completion will cost you $600 or $700. I see them missing all kinds of parts and with parts broken going for $400 and $500. The Defiant was one vehicle I never one playset I never got the chance to own. And my friend that had it blew his up with firecrackers. Yeah, my group of friends growing up, we all focused on like trying to get stuff different from each other so that between us we could bring our stuff over to each other's houses and have more complete things. So like if a friend of mine would get a vehicle, then I usually wouldn't get that vehicle. I'd save my allowance money and lawn mowing money and things like that for a vehicle they didn't have. I mowed lawns for a month to get enough money for the USS Flag. I still miss that thing. It was cool. Not that my wife would let me set it up anywhere because it's 7.5 feet long, so there's no way my wife would let me have it set up in the house somewhere. So it'd be pointless to have one anyway because it'd be disassembled in a box in the garage. Well, as a collector, I'm just trying not to blow up anything rare or valuable. he blew up a Defiant, and before he blew it up, it was pretty much complete um, and in good shape. It would be worth, in the condition it was in at the time he blew it up, $800 or $900. So that's like blowing up almost $1,000. I see you. I acknowledge you. I love you. And I will pay attention to you after the stream. But you need to entertain yourself for the next hour. Maybe half hour. I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to go yet. Okay, that's enough. Go, play. Enough scratching. Ow, ow, ow. You're a very needy dog today. He didn't like the streaming business. All right, so. Yep. Trying to step on the. Yeah, he's trying to step on my keyboard. Sarah McLaughlin is not singing any commercials for you. You should see the doggies on those commercials. You don't know how good you got it. You're totally spoiled and pampered. She's not even warming up her vocal cords for you. It's not happening. Yeah. The other night you even got steak, didn't you? Mommy gave you steak. Daddy was not happy because he was like, the dog got steak. I didn't get steak. I like steak. All right. So let's see here. We've got that much of the tank done. Let's hide the turret for now. Let's hide the Gatling guns because we know they're fine. Let's move on to the body, which has some sort of weird issue going on there. What in the world is that? Huh. Wonder why that's split there. Oh, that could be a real mess to clean up. Well, let's get into it. Let's delete those faces. Let's delete that face. Delete that face. Delete that face. Delete that face. Let's grab that, nope, and that. Not that one. Let's undo that. Because if I do it that way, that's going to create another issue. Oh, I know what to do. Let's grab this. Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, I was like, man, I had 22 hours for the whole thing. Merge at center. There we go. That's an easier, smarter way to do that. So then I should be able to grab this face and this face and this face, or the edge rather, and make a face between them. And this edge, and this edge, and this edge. Make a face. There we go. Clean that up. Save since let's check all. What is that? What happens if we just delete those edges? Check all. Delete those edges. Check all. Okay. That was an artifact left over from a Boolean operator. Sharpen those edges. Yeah, 14 hours definitely sounds a little more like it. I'm like, that should have almost cut the print time in half, cutting the thing in half. I mean, there will be more support material now and stuff because of the tabs. I should just do this by face select here. I should probably set those as sharps as well. To clean that up some too. Dadgummit. Finding all sorts of things at that Boolean operator that when I cut that in, messed up. And then you got to go back in and manually clean up vertices and edges and things like that when Boolean operators are involved. Because what messed it up, well, a couple things messed it up. One was the Boolean operator to actually merge the Scorpion body to the tank body, which was a nightmare. And then the other thing was when I cut the hole using a Boolean operator for the turret. But we're coming along. Yeah, that'd give me a nice clean spot, I think. Yeah, it should. Alright. So we're going to hide you. And hide you. Hide those. Hide those. Hide, hide, hide. Hide, hide. Hide, hide. 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 Alright. That's another thing that messed up by the Boolean operator. Gosh. Sometimes Boolean operators, while they make things quick and easy to do complex things, they can end up being more trouble than they're worth. Oh yeah. That's going to be fun. Estimated time for rears 15 hours. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Seems legit. So now if I delete edges, yeah, it's still going to do that. Okay. Although, you know what? Let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to all right, we fixed it. Let's grab all of this. Shift D, Enter, P, selection. And grab all of this. And hit delete. Vertices. Alright. So we got some repair work to do. But that'll be a reasonable spot to cut the two things apart. So let's go face select. Let's grab that face. And, whoop. Grab that face and that one. And delete the faces. And now let's slide it forward and do our necessary repairs. What the? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of in that role for a while for my in-laws. Until we moved to Tennessee. So I know it can be hard sometimes. Cool. The new axle fits. Awesome. You know, another thing, separating the body like this will give me the opportunity to make different front and back ends and make those interchangeable. Just thought about that. That'll be fun, right? All right, now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. So if I go this route, let's just see. Snoopy or SpongeBob. I don't know if you've watched SpongeBob there, Tom. He's not a very good driver. SpongeBob is a terrible driver. And what do you do next? Floor it. Yes. No. No. Well, that's true. Yeah, it is a tank. It'll just drive right over a car and just. Holy cow. It's manifold. I need a haircut. Look at this. Look at this. I need a haircut. So I'm wearing a hat because it would be down in my eyes when it fell forward. I guess I'd rather have that problem than the opposite problem and have no hair to fall down on my eyes. I could be in that boat. All right. So that one's manifold. Now we're going to make this one manifold. Which obviously now, because it has holes in it, it's not. Huge hole. Huge gaping hole. Face. Face. No, I did not see that. I've watched the Grand Tour before, just not recently. Step right up. This would have been much better if I would have designed it to go this route from the beginning, rather than trying to retrofit it now. But sometimes you just try to adjust on the fly. This is not the ideal way to do this, for anyone wondering. But that's the problem of sometimes when the way that I go into designs, I don't have a plan. I just come in and I start doing stuff, and this is what it gets me. There's a lot of cleanup work on the other end. Could be worse, I suppose. All right, so I don't even see why we have this group of faces so anymore. So let's kill those. Die faces, die. Morning, Scalda. I will get on trying to make you a two-part version of the four-door frame after the stream, man. I'm sorry it doesn't fit on the beds of your printers. I suppose there's some other people out there in the same boat, so it'll kill two birds with one stone. And you're right, I did not have that pillar file uploaded on the four-door page. The good news is it's the same pillar as the two-door, so it's not a big deal. You can go get it from the two-door thing, but I did upload it to the four-door page as well. All right. So now we need to make something to lock these together. Yeah, it's on both now. I put it up on the 4-door page as well before I started the stream. Um, but yeah, it's the same piece the 2-door uses. No way I can find a transfer to vase mode from normal printing in the layer setting adjustments. I've never printed a vase. I don't even know how to print in vase mode. I've never done it. So let's inset that vase there and extrude it. And let's scale it along the X a little. Calling it progress. Okay. So save. And I'm going to cut this part out of that one. So I need to duplicate this one. Select this one. Apply the Boolean. Yes. Tab 3 Z. All those. Scale them down just a little. Oh, there you go, Scalda. I don't know if that will work, but I will make a 2-part version. It may lessen the structural integrity of the final product a bit, just because of how thin the frame is anyway. File, export, STL. Upper body, front. File, export STL. Rear. File, export STL. Canopy. File, export STL. Canopy. Hinge. Tank, body, canopy, hinge, upper, front, and rear. Tank, upper body, beta, upload, 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 upload. All right, Roy, the upper body, canopy, and canopy hinge were uploaded in their beta form as well. So now you could go as far as to print a tank with no turret and no interior. You know, I've got a little bit of my khaki material left, and then I have another whole roll of it. I ought to put the partial roll on the Tornado now that it's working. Start printing tank parts over there and start printing tank parts on the S4. I have both large format printers firing away. Then I could load some gray in the A-net and have it print the canopy. You're welcome, Roy. And as you know, the disclaimer to go along with it is none of this has been tested. You watched it get created today. Tanks. Yeah, tanks a lot. So it could end up being a waste of time and filament at some point. That's the risk you take with an untested beta file. I know you do, man, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Oh, cool. Well, you know, with the front pillar and the two-door frame you printed, you could put together the two-door Jeep. Because otherwise, it shares all the same parts. The only part that the four-door Jeep has a longer frame and adds a mid-pillar. It uses the same front and rear, same doors for front and rear. All the other parts are completely interchangeable. I'm going to go back in at some point, I've decided, and add screw holes and screw bosses for the Jeep in some strategic spots so that it can be screwed together instead of glued. That's in the future plans. And that would allow people to, since my designs are so modular, that would allow people to assemble it, and then when I come out with a new part later, take the screws out, swap the parts, and put the screws back in, rather than have to break apart glue. That's the plan. I'll bet you do, Roy. How many times you've had to break glue off of something to swap apart after I came up with a upgrade or a change. So yeah, the next major change coming down the pipeline for the VSV is going to be built-in screw bosses and screw holes in parts so that you can screw it together. I need to go to the hardware store and I need to snag a few little bags of screws to see which sizes are going to be cheap, easily accessible, and will work for the job. And then that would give people the ability to, if they change their mind on something, even, I mean, so, they print it one way and they decide later on, I wish I would have done that with this part instead. Then they can just take a screwdriver to it and take the screws out, pull the part off, put the new part on, screws in, done. Yeah, and that was one of the things that led me to that. And the VSV has kind of become, it's kind of my signature vehicle at this point, but it's also kind of become my test mule for stuff. Yeah, I would like to do that too. I would, Skalda. I would like to, but I need to spend some time with somebody who's more brilliant in RC stuff than I've ever been, which doesn't take much because I know nothing about it. And pick their brain and see if we can't come up with a open RC solution for my vehicles, one that I could maybe even modularly design to be portable from one vehicle to another with just a few parts changes. Now the tank would obviously have to have a totally different type of RC setup than the Jeep, because you're not turning with front wheels that turn. You're turning with this tread rolls backwards while that tread rolls forwards. Yeah, I would love to pick his brain, man. That dude is a genius. I also know he's a very busy guy. I would love to send him my files and see if he already has the files necessary. Yeah, he's going to Murph, but I am not. I cannot. I can't justify losing not only the expense, but the losing the income to go. And not only me losing income, but the other people in my band would have to lose income. And so I'm responsible for their income as well. So there are 4 other people that if I took the weekend off would be forced to take the weekend off because I would not be playing the show. And that's not fair to them. So the only way around that would be if Murph would book the band and pay the band what I would have to pay them to take them out of town. And from here to Goshen, Indiana, and I have to pay those guys $500 a piece per day that I take them out of town. Because that represents the income that potential, easy income potential for them in town. So I have to pay them $500 a day, plus I have to feed them and put a roof over their head if we're staying overnight. And so it starts becoming a really expensive venture to leave town. There's some people who may be booking us for a wedding in Colorado next January, and they have a lot of money, but that wasn't the reason the quote came up to almost $10,000. The quote came up to almost $10,000 because we sat down and we broke it down for them. We gave them the list of, here's what we're paying our guys, here's how much approximate how much round trip airfare is, here's approximate how much it's going to cost us to rent a PA when we get there and hire a sound man. You know, I'm going to do all this and I'm going to come home with like $500 in my pocket. You know, shows are expensive, man. Productions are not cheap. Yeah, so like it was like my expenses to pay all my guys and to round trip airfare, van rental while we were in town, uh, hotel rooms, one hotel room per two band members, and all that. My expenses were almost $9,000. So I had to quote them like 10 grand. And the scary part is they're like, okay, well, we'll let you know for sure in a couple weeks. They didn't go, oh no, I didn't know it was going to be that much. So I may end up having to do this. Sometimes part of me wishes and hopes whenever I'm like, man, this thing's going to be such a big hassle and I'm really not going to make that much money, more money than I would make if I just stayed here. Sometimes I secretly hope they say no. All right, so we went from this being the only part of the tank that was done, and even it required a large format printer. We broke it apart so that it no longer requires a large format printer. We completed the undercarriage, broke it apart so it no longer requires a large format printer. Completed the upper body, broke it apart so it no longer requires a large format printer. And we put the files for all the new stuff up on Patreon for the patrons, or up on Discord for the Patreon supporters. And so we've got to a point where we'll have a tank that will look nearly complete. The thing that's missing is still the turret. That's going to be the next thing to tackle on my list of things to do. And the turret has a lot of work involved in it because I have to figure out how, I want it to lock into place so that it doesn't pull back out of the top of the tank easily. But I want it to rotate 360 degrees smoothly. And then I also need the elevation of the turret, the gun, but the gun needs to stop before it goes down too far. It can't go down and hit the canopy. So I'm going to have to design the mechanism for that so that the turret's able to, or the gun's able to tilt up, but it only comes down so far. So there's going to have to be kind of a natural bump stop in there in the design as well. The tank will be no small undertaking as far as amount of print time, amount of filament, and amount of assembly time. do not underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to put all of these little individual treads together. Because that is a considerable undertaking. Expect some loss and some breakage along the way. I've gotten pretty good at it, and even I break about 10% of them during assembly. I believe the count was 79. There are 79 treads per side, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go back and look. I think I put it on Discord. Which of course that number could be adjusted up or down depending upon how far back you have the tensioner. If the tensioner is sticking out a long way, it's going to lengthen your tread and it's going to require more tread pieces. Or you could push the tensioner in a little farther and maybe get away with 1 or 2 less. But I believe 79 was the number. And like I said, I break about 10% now. When I first started trying to put them together, I broke about 25%. You kind of get the hang of it and you develop a rhythm and a system to it that makes it a little easier, and it will come more natural to you the more you do it. And so you'll break fewer of them, and you'll figure out which spots you need to be more careful with. But yeah, so expect some loss, expect some throwaways from that. It also could make a handy, neat looking little bracelet too, the tread, if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, I would be interested in that. I think maybe if it's a really solid TPU, one that's not real bendy and flexy, it might work. It might work, and you might save yourself from some breakage there. If it's very flexible, I think the stress of rolling will just pull them apart. But it'd be worth, since they're not that big a piece, it might be worth printing up 4 or 5 of them and snapping them together and bending them and pulling on them a little bit and seeing how much force they would take. But we're pretty much at the 10 o'clock hour. We made it through. The computer made it through a 2-hour stream today. I feel like we got a lot accomplished. I don't know, about you guys, but I feel like we got a lot accomplished. We went from, nothing that resembled a full tank that was ready for print to having nearly the completed tank. And I will continue working on it. I'm off today and tomorrow. I will continue working on it. I do have something I need to get on and try to fix for Scalda first, but then I will come back over and work on the tank over the course of the next 2 days, and hopefully have everything ready to print by the time I have to go back to work on Thursday. So thank you guys for joining me, and as always, the links to support the channel are below. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to my Discord, which gives you early access to files like we made today. You can print them when they're in their beta form before they've been tested, and then you get exclusive access to them for a month or so once the project is deemed complete, before I put them up on Thingiverse. So if you're interested in early access to designs, being able to print stuff before anybody else, and being able to print stuff that may end up never going public, there are some Patreon exclusive designs as well, like the lift kit for the VSV and things like that. So, if that's something that interests you, link is below to do that. Have your printers going full tilt for a few days. That's awesome. And that's what I do this for, is to provide you guys with stuff to print. And I appreciate all of the support and you guys showing up and watching the streams and giving me your input and all of that, and the testing, the test prints and stuff, and printing the stuff once it's out there available to the public for those who are willing to wait for it. I appreciate it. I love seeing that stuff. I love when you guys share your posts of your progress with me on Twitter and things like that, and it's awesome. You know, it gives me that warm and fuzzy feeling when I see something that started off in my head in somebody else's hands, you know, sometimes clear across the world, and it's just really cool. So yeah, you do, Roy. You have the tactical trailer, which is another work in progress. It's on the list. I need to get myself a whiteboard and prioritize a list of my projects and try to knock them out that way. That way, I stay a little more organized. So the plan is to get myself a whiteboard in the coming few days as well. Maybe next week, because this is the first of the month, and all the bills come out first of the month. So I appreciate you guys very much, and we will see you next Tuesday. And hopefully by then the tank will be done, and we'll work on maybe the hauler or whatever other project comes up between now and then. So you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and we'll see you in a week.